my journey started at a very young age. I was always curious and I always wanted to know more. And I always questioned everything in my life. So whenever somebody was asked, or, when you're working in a work culture, like yourself, Magdalena, I started my career at a very young age too. And when you start very young, you have a lot of questions. And during our time, it was slightly different. So I actually used to question everything. And more the questions I asked, more answers I got. But when I got these answers, it forced me to learn something new. And I think with learning something new, I had a new journey. So while my corporate life was going on as a corporate PR and marketing director, and I'm so blessed with one thing. I've never done anything in my life that I don't enjoy. So I've always enjoyed PR, and I was so grateful that I was introduced to PR at a very young age in my college days. I was hired from the campus recruitments in PR and directly into hospitality industry. I worked with one of these largest institutions like Ogilvy, and which is considered as universities in advertising and PR sectors. I was very, very grateful to have such vast experiences and learn from such amazing minds. And all of these also led to my growth of understanding, my life in a better way and how I wanted to contribute to another side of the life, because there's more to work than work. So who was I in this process? So I think everywhere there was a question, and that led to my answers, and my journey became very holistic. And yeah, that's I've been into this industry for 14 years, but alternatively practicing while working. It's only this year I gave up my corporate world and to because it was a deeper calling to do what I believe in.
When listening to you, it came to my mind what Petra said on day one. And actually, this is somehow her key message, which I love, that everyone has own purpose in life. Yet, it's not an easy to make a decision to leave, where you are having the security, comfy position from the corporate perspective to switch yourself and start completely journey from the scratch. Was this moment you experienced anxiety?
It's natural. It's very, very natural to experience anxiety, and
Yeah.
but my anxiety was not coming from only. My anxiety was my strength actually, because I think um, the workspace anxiety was higher than setting up something of my own. So because I really worked in organizations. Hospitality is not an easy organization at all. You're working round the clock, 24 hours. Your manager on duty sometimes for 24 hours, for 2 days, you're staying in the hotel. You have to be on the call for that 24 hours. I had an agency life, and in the agency life, your client is your master. So you are actually producing everything round the clock. There are days I've not gone home. We had beds in the organization in itself, in the agency. So we were sleeping in the office. So my anxiety was more at work. And then it was in setting up my own, in fact. So and maybe that's why I'm here today, because these anxiety became my strength, and I wanted to know more, and I wanted to. I was always in that question: why am I slave to this corporation? Why we work so hard? What are the fears that we carry? What is it if I step down? What happens? So yeah.
It's very interesting as you are saying that stepping out, yet we are having this strong feeling, what if it will not work? And then what are the most common causes of anxiety in the workplace and how they can be addressed?
I think the most common causes in these workplaces, high expectations, overwhelming workloads, job insecurity, and unclear communications from your leadership. When employees are uncertain about their roles or they feel, or they feel very lack of control over their task, it really triggers a lot of stress and anxiety. Psychologically, individuals do feel very unsafe in their environment, and every challenge or demand can create another anxiety. These job insecurity often leads employees to take extra work, in an attempt to make themselves indispensable. So, and this adds further stress when they struggle to meet their deadlines, and creating a vicious cycle of increasing anxiety. This workload and pressure frequently will take over into your personal life, because we humans do not know how to, separate our personal life from our home life. We carry this all throughout and, inside of us. As a result, the individual will carry the same stress, which impacts their relationships. We're constantly on a survival mode, both at work and at home. And this leads to conflicts in both the environments. Anxiety comes from stress, and stress often manifests in your physical symptoms in your body too. Your cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, thyroid conditions, even obesity. These are major health issues that stem from chronic stress, and which is frequently overlooked in the workplace. One of the core challenges is that managers and leaders often don't recognize that employees are stressed, Yeah. And employees frequently hide their stress because they fear losing their jobs or being judged. Like we were talking about yesterday, we avoid showing our vulnerability and recognizing that vulnerability is key to addressing anxiety. Our health is our priority and our responsibility, and nobody else is going to look after that except us. In my own personal space, in two of my organizations, two of my colleagues died at the workplace with heart stroke, and they were easily replaced by someone else. They weren't even paid. One of them was not even paid their dues, and the culture of the work did not change at all, even with two people dying within the organizations. That is the kind of stress level I'm talking about in these organizations I have worked in. So if you're feeling stressed or anxious, the first step is being aware of it. Identify and acknowledge your own stress, because nobody else is going to. Only you can help yourself. Your self-awareness is very crucial. And once you're aware, it's important to take the next step. How can I reduce anxiety? Particularly, I believe a lot in my physical work. I feel that physical movement is so important to reduce the stress level and the anxiety. If your mind is not working, take time with your body, because your body is the greatest asset. That 5 minutes in the morning, is so important. And if you can't do a yoga, you cannot do meditation, you cannot do anything, it's just okay. Just jump a little bit in the morning, clap your hands in the morning, or all your meridians is in your hands. So and your feet, and you can just activate it within 2 minutes of waking up. And for that, you don't really need a lot, right?
You mentioned about the leaders do not recognize. They do not recognize, or they don't want to see it, that employee is stressed.
I think they don't want to, and unless you don't want to, unless you don't say it, they don't want to acknowledge it either. So I feel somewhere they are identifying it, they are aware of it, because they do know the stress, because every team leaders, they know the amount of stress that they have. There are certain leaders who will actually push that workload into their employees as well. They'll transfer it down. But it doesn't mean that they are not aware, they are aware. But unless you don't say it, they they are going to take that opportunity, or they are going to harass you more.
They do not want to say it loud because acknowledging means they need to engage. Engaging means attention. So you also mentioned, Danica, about the conflicts. No doubts, the stress will create the conflicts. And we hear organizations all build up based on people. And that where the people are more than two, or even already with two, conflicts are integral part of any kind of relations, right? From the collective perspective, how organization can create the approach to resolve conflicts within the team. So even if we are having a leader who doesn't have exact knowledge how to do it, how the organization can step into it and create this kind of framework that leaders should follow.
Right. So that's a great question. So conflicts in the workplace are inevitable, and we all come from very different cultural backgrounds, and especially in the places that we live in, GCC. And but they don't have to be destructive. The first step in resolving the conflicts is to create a culture of openness where team members, they do feel safe discussing issues without the fear of having a judgment or retaliation.
Mm.
We need to be actively listening, and empathy is essential for helping employees understand each other's perspectives and finding a common ground. When I also say listening, I don't only mean that listening from a perspective of what's happening at work, that I want to listen to that gossips, but also listening to their own personal stories and their own personal journeys, because that really gives you a lot of clues understanding a person. Organizations can also implement conflict resolution frameworks that focus on a more collaborative problem solving rather than assigning a blame game approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, from our previous conversations, I also believe that emotional intelligence is also very critical because it equips employees with the skills to manage their own emotions and responses during the disputes. But I'll just give you a small example of conflicts within our organization in a hotel. So I recall a situation where my managing director took a very proactive step to resolve bitterness between two employees. And the tension in the office had become extremely toxic, and it was just dividing the two teams into two. You know, you don't talk to this one, you don't talk to that one. And
playground.
Yeah, playground, like in school, you know. So during our, we used to have our annual sales conference every year in another city. So we all used to live together. So the MD made a very important thing. So what he did is that he made these two employees stay in the same room. They were not allowed to switch rooms with anyone. He literally forced them to communicate. And by the end of the trip, actually, they became best friends. And that actually demonstrated the power of communications in a conflicting environment.
As we speak about the collective responsibility that organization can do, and what kind of then bringing down to the employee, how and what kind of tools eventually employee as an individual can use to deal with their own anxiety at workplace, because sometimes we have no luxury to leave the job. We have no possibility to stand up for ourselves. Various factors will be for that, and still we want to support employee. What tools I can use at the workplace to deal with my anxiety and not to lose my mind completely?
Yes. So, like I was talking to you about earlier when we were talking about it, I was like, awareness is the key. And if I feel that I am quite stressed in an environment that is not supporting me, How do I personally do my work? What are the tools that are available to me? And this is what I was talking about, like getting involved, um, in physical movements, doing a lot of exercises, whether it is taking a run, doing a power yoga, doing a Pilates, and doing a breath work, practicing mindfulness within my own space, helps me to reduce anxiety from a very individual perspective. Now, how can organization need to understand that is by actually opening that space to its employees, and what tools are available for from the organization. So it's like bottom to top and top to bottom. So from top to bottom, what is it that that an employer can do for managing these stress levels? It's engaging the staff, giving them mindfulness and somatic exercises at workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the organizations actually started to see the potential of practicing mindfulness at workplaces, and they actually take a 5 minutes break, um, to just breathe and to do certain exercises, certain stretches that helps the movement flow of blood, the flow of circulation into your body. Like I said, tapping work, even 5 minutes in the organization with tapping work really helps. Practicing collectively as a team helps to foster a lot of understanding. It strengthens the relationship between the team members in itself. So when employees and leaders work together in such activities, you actually break down a lot of barriers, and the team then they begin to operate as a unified whole. So you can do it after work hours if you do not want to break the flow of the work. Do activities together after work, or include your families actually once in a month. This opens a whole new field for both the employees and the leaders in the workplace scenario. And a person is always, when you have these, when you introduce so much wellness programs for your employees, they will always stay loyal and committed to you. And this
Absolutely.
really helps to for the economic growth of the company in itself, because as a company you want your profit. You do not want to operate in isolation. You want to make sure that the company is benefiting. So if you are having employees who are out here and they're just like working like machines, your productivity is actually not going up. Your productivity is going down. So when you invest in your employees, the employees, they invest back into your organization, and that's when you have a better organizational performances, and that fosters an environment that promotes healthy boundaries, trusted relationships, that reduces a lot of conflicts, allowing individuals to maintain a balance between work and personal life. And that in itself helps the economic growth of your country, because healthy people contributes to the healthy society, and that healthy society contributes to the healthy economy of the country.
This is very idealistic scenario, which we are very, very far behind. We talk about people are our most important asset. Suddenly, all top of the organizations are forgetting about the value of employee. It's more KPI focus and push and multitasking and pressure, because we need to create more KPIs so that we leaders can shine more often on the stage in front of the board. And this is where also toxicity in invisible way is stepping into. And just to have a little break, I have a question actually to our audience, to our guests here, as we speak about the conflicts, as we speak about anxiety. I wonder if you have experience, our dear guests, experience in your life anxiety, stressful moment at work that caused you some kind of discomfort and you stopped liking to come over to work. Have you ever experienced a conflict? Have you been involved in the conflict?
I don't believe anybody goes through life without anxiety. If it bothers you enough, you will be anxious. It's just a way of life. So, you know, for a long time, I would internalize anxiety a lot. So my first major conflict happened when I was undergoing my divorce, and I was still serving in the Navy. And the 90s in the Navy was not a time when we would be very liberal about divorce, and it was unheard of. It wasn't a thing that was there, which was accepted, or everybody knew everybody. So it was literally like that. So to be able to express yourself and get it out of your system, that's the time when I started writing more frequently. And so when people literally ask, so what do you do to de-stress? I said, I write so I can breathe. And that's still my statement in terms of writing, because a lot of expressiveness comes from writing. The other thing that I've taken up in the past 2, 3 years is art, because there are no definitions for this. There's no definition for writing. As long as you're writing for yourself and you're creating something for yourself, and not, creating for someone else, you will be really authentic and honest about it, and you will continue to do it. Learning is a different thing. You will keep copying and trying to learn and trying to master a skill. Skill learning is very different, but to be able to get into a space of mindfulness is very different. So, like I was sharing earlier, when I left my last place of work, where my anxiety blew the top, I lost control. And it's very rare for me to lose control. People have not seen me shout. I'm a very quiet person, even when I'm checking someone or when I'm having a chat, which is a serious chat with someone at work. Also, you don't expect HR to lose their cool, right? I mean, we're supposed to be gathering, we're like the mother hen of everything, which is usually how it happens. And so when I left, I went through a whole process. So one was shutting myself out from everyone first. I just took a break. I traveled. I spent a lot of time on my own thinking about things. And then because I had taken up, writing, and I was doing art at the same time, I just taken up art. It was also, just after COVID, this is 2022, 21, 22, and it was a horrible time for me. I took to Clubhouse, so we would talk about these things because you can't see a person on the other end. So it was a safer place to talk. I would create those safe spaces, because I needed to share as much as to listen to what everybody else was, because you find that you do have a community which is seeking similar things and looking for ways to do that. But then at some point, I think the Pomodoro technique helped in terms of work. 25 minutes of extensive work, focus, no phones, no distraction, no internet, nothing. Take a 5-minute break so you can walk, you can do a breathing exercise. Mostly I take a stroll for 5 minutes because it just helps my, blood circulation better. And then there is the sensory grounding that I use. Sensory grounding is literally about taking very deep breaths, 3, 4 deep breaths, and then trying to see 5 things. So you use your sense of sight to see 5 things that you can see, and you repeat it to yourself. What can I see? I can see a cupboard, I can see a chair, I can see a pen, I can see a pencil. After that, 4 things that you can hear. So your sensory for ears would be, what am I listening to? Is it the sound of a bird? Is it the sound of a desk? Somebody is writing and you can hear the scraping. So 4 sounds. 3 things that you can touch: my nose, my head, whatever. But you have to repeat to yourself what you're touching. And then 2 things that I can smell. So your sensory sense of smell takes it in, and 1 thing that I can taste. That's it. By the time I get to this, then take another 3 breaths. You've actually brought down your anxiety to a level which is, you're in a calmer space. So the whole point is, I've been repeating over and over again, breathe, just breathe. And that's what this is about.
Sandy, I agree with you. And this is a very important thing we are saying. Knowledge expands your perceptions. Once you are having wider perception, you are able to make healthier choices, and automatically you are withdrawing yourself from the emotional engagement with any kind of situation. We are having Yes, Sandy, because we are having Hassan and Dr. Ridima raising their hand. Yes, and Danica is waiting with me, and I have still so many interesting questions to speak about.
Yeah, just to add a little tiny one sentence, it's not just the knowledge, it's the wisdom to use that knowledge properly.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
important.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll just speak from, again, organizational point of view. We used to have kind of, two ways of identifying where the people are having stress and anxiety, and even helping them to come out of that. What one is called psychodrama. So there is a whole philosophy behind this psychodrama thing, but that helped a lot to people to come out of, okay, the people, those who understand Hindi, I'll explain in Bhool Bhulaiya, the way Akshay Kumar has done it. So that's the psychodrama thing. The second, we use it, REBT, which is again a psychological way of dealing with rational emotive behavior therapy, where kind of we help people to understand what is the issue, and then they come out of the kind of problem. And third, from organizational point of view, we do a lot of role plays with line managers. So if I'm a bad manager and I'm seeing a role play, I understand, oh man, they are actually targeting me, without accepting and without saying. Inside, I know I am the culprit. So, yeah.
Thank you, Hassan. Dr. Ridima, please.
Just making it very quick. Talking about, the mental health issues of the workplace, I will just like to give a small example. While I was just doing my, I was still in medical college. I have had a very severe experience of being trolled online. And it was, when we talk about being trolled online, these were just not quotes or something bullshit been written about me. It was very derogatory, and a very bad picture was used. And I felt disgusted, and I somehow blamed myself for a lot of things. Maybe I would have done something wrong. Maybe I would have dealt with someone wrong. Or maybe I was in that dilemma of the phase where I was blaming myself for everything altogether. But I think I can relate to what Sandhya ma'am said, that writing helps. And I think that's when we actually came up with a forum. It was an online forum which we created for our institution, where we encouraged everyone who has been going through the online trauma, online troll, to talk about. And sooner or later, when we started seeing these stories, more people talking about the phases that they are facing, more people talking about it, and raising voice. And this actually stopped. Like, after a while, whoever was doing it stopped. So I think somewhat, having that communication amongst in the internal teams, and having that unity amongst ourselves do help. Definitely, it would have been a really bad trauma for every one of us, but coming together and discussing it in a team, and trying to way out of it, did help all of us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ridima. And we will highlight the anxiety, the conflicts are the natural part of our life, and it happens in the organization. Following actually day one session where Dr. Ridima was sharing about pragmatic tools for the strategies, how to build a healthy communication. And also, we can't forget, again, we are having 3 layers of responsibilities. As employee will expect they will solve all problems for me. No, we are having responsibility and accountability of self-development for healthy organizations. It's not only them, it's also us. Many things actually depends from us. So thank you very much, Dr. Ridima. Welcome back, Danica. I would like to ask question. What is the role that emotional intelligence play in resolving conflicts and reducing anxiety at work?
Yeah, and before I come to the emotional intelligence, I'll just touch upon what Mr. Hassan was talking about, is psychodrama and role play, because that's exactly what we work with when we are talking with organizations, and that's one of the frameworks that I use as well, and it's called a very systemic approach, actually, to in resolving conflicts, and you see things from a very different perspective. So Yeah, so kind of coming to the emotional intelligence, you know, whenever we do our own self-development that we were talking about and in the workplace, we work with empathy and we work with understanding. So employees with stronger EI, emotional intelligence, can always have a better control over their reactions to stressful situations. Will be skillfully be able to resolve major conflicts by identifying the underlying issues and emotions that are you know, that is within the organization, and address them very constructively. You are not you know, there is a negative or there is a bad reactions and there is a good reaction. So you're far more calmer when you are actually, you know, you have worked on your emotional intelligence. So it's very, very important. And I think from day one, we've been stressing about how important is EI for our personal growth. And it can also, at a top to bottom level, it can be done through training, through workshops, or through coaching. And first of all, just understanding what are your values in the organization. Some people don't even know that they have their own values in the organizations.
Oh, absolutely.
We actually copy paste somebody else's. So I think starting with that, you know, is such a key element to your authentic self, of what you believe in.
Quite often when we are having in general the drama and negative atmosphere in the organization, in the departments, it's quite often related to the fact that the leader has no vision.
Right.
It's positioned and it has no vision.